Okay, we are going to work on proving trigonometric identities. Problem type 1. You can see our sample problem here. And we have something that's kind of complicated. So we're asked to prove that this is true. So I can see that I've got 4 cosine squared x on this side and 3 cosine squared x on that side. So probably the first thing that I would do, if their explanation shows one way to do this, but probably the first thing that I would do is subtract 3 cosine x squared on both sides and end up with sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. And then from that we have that is true from Pythagorean theorem. So then I could go back and say 1 equals 1 with the reason for Pythagorean theorem. So let's explain why that's true. I mean, it's something that we learn in class, but let's take a look. I'm going to draw some straight lines for once now. Alright, here's something that's sort of like something that's sort of like a right triangle here. I'm going to say if this is a right triangle. Here's our angle x, and if our leg here, I'm going to call it A because it's the adjacent leg, and I'm going to call this O because it's the opposite leg, and this is H. Well, we can create another similar triangle by shrinking each side by a factor of H, and so we can come up with these ratios and have a similar triangle where the trigonometric identities are the same, and then this of course is equal to 1 as long as H is not 0. But if H is 0, then we don't have a triangle. And then we know that opposite over hypotenuse is sine of x, and we know that adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine of x, and since this is a right triangle, we can say that a over h squared plus o over h squared is equal to 1 squared. Therefore, sine squared plus cosine squared, I'm going to change my line thickness here, is equal to 1. So we can use that, and you can see that they do it a little bit differently down here, but it doesn't matter so much. Okay, we have sine x is equal to 1 minus cosine x, so they substitute that, and here we take sine x plus 4 cosine x. We take that sine x and then we substitute in 1 minus cosine squared x, and we get the 1 plus 3 cosine squared x. So we can do any of those we want. We have to choose the reason for it in this problem, and that's going to be kind of the difficult part right here. You can see this is going to involve Pythagorean identity, which if you're Chinese and you're thinking it's Gogu, you need to learn the standard English for that. I realize that you will use both in class, but you should learn that most math textbooks and most math tests use Pythagorean theorem and Pythagorean identity.